Thanks for joining me. My name's Anthony. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a professional chef, but I have worked a lot of jobs in a lot of kitchens. We've all figured out different ways to spend our quarantine. I rewatched one of my favorite shows ever, The Sopranos, because it's such a good show. And, aside from all the illegal activities and organized crime, it's really a show about food. They mention food so much throughout the whole show. And as you can tell, I'm a guy who's into food. Now, a lot of these dishes that they mention in the show, like I've cooked a variation of, but I got my hands on the Soprano Family Cookbook and I decided, let me try out their way. For example, I've made marinara plenty of times, but this is my first time doing it their way. We got peeled and diced tomatoes, olive oil, slightly crushed garlic, some fresh basil leaves, salt, and then something that I like to add that the book doesn't call for, some brown sugar. Why am I adding something that's not in the recipe? Because when you're cooking, a recipe is really just a suggestion. Have fun with it. It's your kitchen, it's your dish, it's your meal, it's your taste buds. Adjust it accordingly. So let's go ahead and get started. It's a quick recipe, so this shouldn't take too long. Pro tip, all right? I'm gonna put this olive oil into the pan. I've already got the fire going because a common mistake that a lot of cooks do is they don't heat up the pan or the pot that they're gonna use to cook with. Now this I've had on for so long, it's actually probably too hot now. Now that I got the olive oil in there, I'm gonna take the garlic and cook it in there. I'm gonna take a spoon and just cook this in here for about 4 minutes or until it's like a golden brown. And then go ahead and crush the garlic a little bit more while it's in here. Just kind of use the back end of the spoon to apply some more pressure. Help release some of that aroma. I love the smell. You can never have enough garlic in my book. By the way, if you're just joining me for the first time, please take the time now to go ahead and click subscribe. You'll notice I'm being a little vague with the quantity of ingredients. That's because all these recipes are in the Soprano Family Cookbook, and I highly suggest you get your own copy. I'm not trying to be sued by David Chase. All right, the garlic is now basically where I want it. Next step, we're gonna take the tomatoes. Hopefully you got as much of the water out as possible. And here, even the book is not at all specific. It says salt to flavor. Everybody has their own idea of how much salt should be in food. You go ahead and add the amount that you think is right for you. Remember, it's okay to put too little salt because you can always add in more later. It's a little harder dealing with too much salt. At this point now that the tomatoes have joined the garlic and the oil, we're just gonna go ahead and bring it up to a simmer and stir occasionally. And this process is going to be about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the tomatoes that you're using. We wanna do this until it thickens up and it starts looking like what you think a sauce is supposed to look like. Okay, now, the brown sugar. Why am I gonna throw in some brown sugar? Well, I'm only gonna use a bit. The reason is, I remember the first time that I watched The Godfather. Well, maybe it wasn't the first time, but I remember one time when I was watching The Godfather, there's this scene where I think it's Santino is showing Michael Corleone how to make pasta sauce. And he tells him, now add a little bit of sugar. To be honest, I thought that was just an American taste thing because we like our dishes sweeter than the rest of the world. Turns out it actually helps in the reducing of the acid from the tomato. So if you're a person like me who suffers and deals with heartburn, this is a good little trick to like help curb some of that acidity. I'm supposed to be stirring this too. Now you could use regular sugar. I like to use brown sugar. The theory in my head is that it helps caramelize a little and creates like a molasses, it adds into the thickening of the sauce. Who doesn't like a thick sauce, right? If you do have some wine around, and you want to add just a splash, maybe 2 splashes. So we got some time to kill. Let's get to know each other a little bit. One of my big issues that my dad likes to make fun of me for as a foodie is I don't eat seafood. It has been a curse to my life. You know, when I was in the Navy, I was stationed in Japan, and I had all this great, delicious seafood everywhere. I just couldn't get into it. And I tried quite a bit, and it just didn't work for me. So why am I bringing up seafood? Well, because marinara, this recipe is not a true and authentic marinara recipe. The reason I say that is because true, authentic marinara has fish sauce in it. Marinara is actually, loosely you can translate it into English as it's sailor sauce, which sounds terrible saying it out loud. But it's the kind of sauce that they would use in Naples for all the sailors in their pasta. So fish ended up being an ingredient in true authentic marinara sauce. Thankfully it's not in this. Okay, so you have somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes to burn. Okay, so you have these basil leaves that should be fresh, right? Now is a good time that, hey, I'm not doing anything else except standing here talking to y'all and drinking some wine. Go ahead and tear them up. They don't have to be like shredded into like nothingness, but you know, just into some chunks. Well, gee, Tony, can I chop it? Yeah, you could chop it, but there's just something about using your hands and tearing a fresh ingredient that just, I don't know, to me it just makes it that much better. So just go ahead and tear the leaves. Again, they don't have to be tiny, but you also don't want to be biting into a huge giant chunk of basil. It's a sauce, it's not a salad. I know some of you meaner people at home are like, well, you could definitely use a salad, Tony. I know. It'll be in another episode. If you've seen the movie Ratatouille, I like to cook like that mouse, or that rat, with my nose. You know, when I was younger, I always used to be like, God, why did you give me such a big nose? And then I turned 21 and I started drinking wine and I was like, good looking out. Appreciate it. If you're going through The Sopranos with me and keeping up recipes to the episode, you might be wondering, well, how does marinara come up in the pilot? Well, to be honest, it doesn't directly. In the pilot episode, Tony goes to his mom's house, right? And she offers him some eggplant. They don't really ever specify what eggplant dish it is. And there are quite a few different eggplant dishes that we will be hitting as we go through the series. So I just went ahead and rounded up and I assumed eggplant parmesan, because why not, right? We're doing this so that next week we can make eggplant parmesan. And the week after that, we're gonna use Sunday gravy to make baked ziti. My first director, Kate, she actually went to the Culinary Institute of America. And one of her big pet peeves is people on the Food Network or those internet videos that like make everything look like it's just so instant and perfect. And then, you know, Joe Schmuckatelli at home decides, oh, I want to try to cook even though I have no idea what I'm doing. And then it turns out nothing like that video they saw on the internet. And then they get real down on themselves because, well, it doesn't look like this video on the internet. So she said she would direct me on one condition, that I'd be real and upfront and just show you everything. I gotta be honest, I don't see how this is looking like marinara. Normally when I make my marinara, I start off with tomato paste and work my way down from that. This is a new one for me. It really feels much more like I'm just frying tomatoes than I am making a sauce. Okay, so at this point, it's been there for 15 to 20 minutes. Supposed to take the basil. And add it in. It says it's supposed to make 3 cups. I don't think that's 3 cups. It also doesn't really look like sauce to me. You can see there. I would not consider this marinara sauce, but that's just the American in me. It could totally be authentic and I have no idea. Oh, it smells good. And as far as like putting on, using as like a bruschetta, you can totally see that. I'm having a hard time picturing this as sauce though. Now the recipe book says to serve it over cooked pasta, and that would definitely be great over pasta. But I don't see it working for the eggplant parmesan. Well, like a good cook, I got some spare pasta around. So let me try this out. Okay, so I went ahead and I cooked some spaghetti, and I've got the marinara here, which again, they say it's supposed to be 3 cups. Pretty sure this is not 3 cups worth. And really it just felt like I was frying tomatoes. I don't know if I just didn't get the simmer right or what, but it didn't quite come out like what I think of as sauce. And definitely good for pasta. Let me take some of the Parmesan here. Just because, you know, you gotta have Parmesan. Yeah. There we go. So, here we go. Now, the taste is absolutely great. There's no denying that. Now, let me just get some of the sauce just by itself here. Okay, tomatoes, garlic, basil, fresh basil. It tastes absolutely great. It is great for pasta. Just, I'm probably not gonna be using it for my eggplant parmesan, but it turned out great. It's not the typical sauce like what I think of. Maybe I'll do that another time. But hey, this is still really good. I would maybe, if I was redoing this, I would definitely use more tomatoes. I would probably pour in more wine, maybe some more basil too. But the taste is great. So, and it was simple ingredients: tomato, basil, olive oil, and garlic. The best dishes have the fewest number of ingredients. You use fresh basil. Try to use fresh tomatoes. Try to use the best quality ingredients that you have, and you don't need to use a lot. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna finish this. You guys don't need to see that, but please like and subscribe. Try this out for yourself. Let me know how it went for you in the comments. Find me on Instagram and Facebook at Official Anthony Belton. Facebook, it's The Real Anthony Belton. And you can also email me, tonyb.travels@gmail.com. Have a great week, and remember, next week, eggplant parmesan. Bye.